Welcome to the Wickedly Smart Women podcast, featuring stellar conversations with emerging and established wickedly smart women. Thanks for joining us today as we celebrate women who are committed, care deeply, and have the courage to take action and create conscious change all around the world. Now here's your wickedly smart host, Angel B. Hartwell.
Welcome to another episode of the Wickedly Smart Women podcast, where we celebrate wickedly smart women and provide our listeners with a wealth of wisdom, along with immediately actionable steps to be smarter, spunkier, and more successful in their impact and their leadership. Today, we welcome three very special guests. This is your host, Angel B. Hartwell, and we are presenting a very special 1 of 5 episode here. There's 5 episodes that is in service to promoting and encouraging you to access and consume our brand new book, Wickedly Smart Women, Trusting Intuition, Taking Action, and Transforming Worlds. So I'm going to introduce our 3 panelists and let you know what their chapter title is, and then we're going to dive right in to this panel episode. So we have with us today Debra Stangl, and I'm going to just read her intro and bio. Her chapter is I Trusted, I Made the Leap, $50,000 fell out of the sky. I found my life's work and the man of my dreams, plus a happiness and contentment I never imagined was possible. Debra, after practicing law for over 20 years in Omaha, Nebraska, had a spiritual reawakening in Sedona in 1999. After moving to Sedona in 2001 and founding Sedona Soul Adventures in 2002, Debra developed the unique process of deeply transformational private retreats that are custom designed for individuals and couples, not groups. Just to be clear about that, these retreats are custom designed for individuals and couples, utilizing over 50 of Sedona's master practitioners. Debra is the author of the #1 international bestseller, The Journey to Happy, How Embracing the Concept That Nothing is Wrong Can Transform Your Life, and has also led group trips every year to Egypt and Machu Picchu. So welcome, Debra. We're excited to have you here. Our next author, Ms. Kathy Sohn, her title of her chapter is Wounded Healer, and Kathy is the CEO of Body Memory Process, LLC. She retired in 2020 after 36 years in the U.S. Department of Defense, which involved assignments in 3 war zones. In 1994, when Kathy met her husband-to-be, David W. Sohn, she became exposed to a unique, powerful healing method, the body memory process, which was created by David in the 1980s. David passed away in 2019, but his work now lives on through his wife. Kathy holds a master's in national security studies from the Naval War College and a master's in conflict resolution from George Mason University. We're so excited to have you here, Kathy. And I do want to say a special side note. Kathy actually has been on the show before, as has Debra, and Kathy's episode is actually episode number 200. So I'm really excited to doubly celebrate that. And finally, we have the author of the chapter Across the Other Side of Intuition, Valeria Hearn, Connect Me coach, quantum touch practitioner, theta healing, and free me EFT instructor. Valeria Hearn shares her story of what it truly means to be connected to the Creator and your intuition in order to be supported and empowered to follow your heart and to live authentically again. She knows that love and light of the Creator is always there for you and that you are never alone. Her service is a roadmap that will bring you back to your heart. Creator gave Valeria an ability to witness wonderful healings, including her own, and she is so grateful for that. So welcome, Valeria. Welcome, Kathy. Welcome, Debra. We are so excited to have you here today. So I'm going to start by asking each of you, what inspired you to say yes to the opportunity to be able to participate in the Wickedly Smart Women, Trusting Intuition, Taking Action, Transforming Worlds book? And Valeria, I'd like to start with you.
Hello, everyone. It's a really good question. Thank you, Angel. And I think it really was an intuitive response from my body, from the creator, when I first heard of this opportunity to write this chapter. It's my first time doing that. And I really enjoyed the process. I enjoyed participating with other authors and working with you. So it was quite easy and very intuitive for me to take this step towards writing my first chapter with you.
Oh, beautiful. Well, we're so excited that we initiated you as an author. All right, Debra, what inspired you to say yes to this opportunity?
Well, it really is a way of how we do our intuition. Something is in front of us and we get a hit and we either follow it or we don't. Now, it helps that I love you and I love your work. And you are so focused on really helping people live their best lives. So when I see something from you and there it is, and I read it and I get the hit, and I'm like, yeah, it's an immediate yes. And when you're really connected with your intuition, that's the wonderful part of how your life becomes, because decisions become easy. And it doesn't mean that you don't look into things and check them out and stuff like that. But following that initial hit and going, oh, yeah, that is the way to live your life.
Beautiful. I love it. Debra, you got the hit. I'm going to come back around to that in a minute, but right now I want to find out from Kathy, what inspired you to say yes to participating in this book?
Well, I heard about the book right after you interviewed me. And during that interview, I think for the first time, I said the words, I realized I'm all in, when I was talking about taking over David's healing work. And when I found out the title of the book, I thought, trusting intuition. Yep, I'm doing that. I've been pretty much doing that all of my life. Taking action. Yes, I'm taking action, not just a little. I studied at the Naval War College. So, Sun Tzu was all about, you commit, just do it a little. And transforming worlds. I mean, that's really what my hope is that people realize their own transformation while they read the book, and that they realize what their potential is, and that they can also transform the big world, because it all starts with the individual.
Beautiful. Well, so for me, what I want to say is I want to talk a little bit about this trusting intuition, because I got the opportunity to say, yes, I'll do this project as well, right? And I just want to quickly go around and talk about what it feels like. So for me, when I get the hit, as Debra described it, I get tingles all over my body. And when I get a really big hit, I want to grab my boobies with excitement. So I'd love to hear from you, Debra. What does it feel like, or what's your experience of the hit?
It's in my gut, and it's literally a hit. And it doesn't knock me over typically, but I really feel it as a big hit in my gut. But I'm going to have to check my boobies out next time.
When it's a really big yes.
Yeah,
like there's the yes, which is the tingle. And then there's the, oh my, yes, God, yes, which is the booby grabbing one. All right. Valeria, what does it feel like, or what's your experience when the intuitive hit comes in for you?
It took me a long time to become really in tune with my own body, and probably the disease that I went through helped me to really listen to my body and understand when the spirit comes through me. And oftentimes it also involves really listening to all other voices that we all have inside, to the voice of the fear, to the voice of the doubt, and really acknowledge that, yes, I have that, but I prefer and I choose to listen to Creator's voice inside. I prefer to trust my body. I prefer to trust my heart, but I also validate those voices so they don't have to scream as loud and dim the voice of the Creator.
Beautiful. So what I'm hearing there then, Valeria, is yours is more of a hearing. When the intuition comes in, you hear the voice of the Creator, but is there some response in your body?
Yes, I would say it's the process of feeling it inside my heart first, and almost like a spark inside me that tells it's time, it's yours. And then, of course, like all other voices decide to take their part. So it takes some time for me to work through the layers to really take the courage to follow the main voice.
Beautiful. All right. And Kathy, how about you? What's your experience of intuition?
It's really a mind-body thing. It's a very clear knowing. So there aren't any more, it's similar to Valeria. There aren't the little but what ifs and some of those little voices, the doubts and the fears. It's there's no fear, there's a knowing. And I also feel it in my body, very much in my heart, in my gut, and I think it's probably the entire, whole chakra system is in alignment, which sometimes unfortunately isn't as common as I would like it to be, or at least that I'm aware of. But in those moments when I'm like, yes, this is absolutely right, I feel it.
Beautiful. I love it. All right. Well, so we're going to go around now, and I'm going to ask you each, what do you hope readers get out of your chapter? And so we're going to start with you, Kathy. Your chapter is entitled Wounded Healer. What is it that you hope our readers, the readers of this beautiful book, Wickedly Smart Women, Trusting Intuition, Taking Action, Transforming Worlds, what do you hope that the readers will get out of your chapter?
So my story goes from a not so happy beginning, and it brings the reader through my own evolution and my journey to the growth that I came through as things unfolded for me and as I healed. And then the realization I had at the end of how I could contribute through my own wounding. And so, everyone has a story. Everyone has their own trauma and their own woundings. And I want people to be able to read my story and know that they don't have to be stuck there. There are so many resources, especially, just the ladies here. It's everywhere. People just open their eyes and say, and start taking a look in that direction and look at other things on the internet, maybe like that are about healing trauma, not being stuck in it and thinking that the problem is outside of themselves. Truly, all of us have had, when we've gone through that transformation, just that what we were talking about with intuition, it's a very internal experience. The answers are inside you. That's what I want people to know and be inspired by.
Ah, beautiful. I love it. Well, we are going to go to the break. It's already break time. So Wickedly Smart Women, we could use your help, specifically with getting this book to go flying off the shelves and onto your bedside tables. We'd love to have you buy the book and help us to make it a #1 bestseller. I'm also going to be submitting it for awards. Since this show is an 8-time award-winning show, I fully expect that we're going to have an award-winning book and potentially many books to come in the future, but this is our first. So we'd really, really, really love your help. And we really want to inspire you to purchase the book for yourself and your lovely lady friends, maybe your mom, your daughter, your sister, your friend, or your colleague, so that they can also receive the wisdom and you can receive the wisdom and the guidance and the transmissions and the bursts of inspiration from our amazing authors. So go get the book. We're going to have the link for you in the show notes. And I want to really encourage you to know that at the very least, even if you don't want to read the book, even if you are completely turned off by all of what we're saying here, we are selling this book and donating every bit of the profits to a beautiful nonprofit organization called the Life is Good Playmakers. And the Playmakers train frontline childcare workers to help kids learn to play again who have been in traumatic situations. So, if you don't like us, that's fine. How about you buy the book anyway so that you can support the Life is Good Playmakers Foundation? I am quite sure, though, that you are not only going to like us and love the book, you are going to get so much out of making this purchase and putting this book on your bedside table and reading it and picking it up when you need those moments of affirmation. It's really, for me, when I have a book like this on my bedside table, it's like an affirmation. It's like a doubling down on my own intuition. I'll pick up a book that I have on my bedside table and I'll open it randomly to a page, and all of a sudden there's a message there for me. So it's almost like a magic little oracle. We also want to thank all of our listeners around the world who are downloading, rating, and reviewing. We're now downloading in 106 countries. And we want to shout out this week to our listeners in Finland, Poland, and we might as well do Ukraine because Valeria comes from Ukraine. And we will be right back with the lovely ladies on this panel.
The Wickedly Smart Women podcast is brought to you by the Wealthy Life Mentor. Women, are you on the edge knowing that life is calling you to make a change? Are you ready to be part of the evolution of what it means to be a wickedly smart woman, creating your wealthy life by design? A life that is an extraordinary work of art. Angel B. Hartwell, the Wealthy Life Mentor, is hired by women in transition. Women just like you who want to break through to their brilliance, become clear on the value of their wisdom, and embody a beauty-filled, balanced life of shameless self-expression. Discover your wealthy life readiness by taking the quiz at quiz.wealthylifementor.com.
And we are back with one of 5 panels of co-authors in the book, Wickedly Smart Women, Trusting Intuition, Taking Action, and Transforming Worlds. Before we went to the break, we heard from Kathy about what she hopes readers will get out of her chapter. Debra, I'd love to have you share what you hope readers will get out of yours.
I'm really hoping that they can start believing that real and lasting change is possible. I think we're surrounded so much in our everyday life with circumstances and other people and being inundated with the media with so much negativity and so many ideas that we cannot live our dream lives. And that's just not true. And I think it's so interesting that all the women on this panel are people who have come from difficult backgrounds, have had huge, seemingly insurmountable things happen to them, but they have been able to come back and start living a life of purpose. And so I really want people to get the spark of the idea that that is really and truly possible. And that what it comes down to is really simple. It's not necessarily easy, but it's simple about following your intuition, following your heart, following your knowing, starting to practice and feel what it feels like to do that, and then doing it. Because when you do that, it's absolutely incredible what can happen.
Beautiful. Thank you, Debra. So what I want to underscore for our listeners there is it's not just about knowing that you're having intuitions and receiving them and feeling them. It really, the taking action step is an absolutely essential part of the process. And I know for me, when I first started to awaken to my own intuition, I love this idea, Debra, of practice, right? You know, we have to retrain ourselves when we have had our intuition repressed, depressed, suppressed, oppressed. We have to retrain ourselves by actually taking action on the intuition such that we then see the results of saying yes to or responding to that hit or that feeling. And it's a result of that kind of positive loop that we actually increase our intuition and strengthen our intuition muscle. It's not enough to just know you have it. You now need to act on it. So, Valeria, what do you hope readers are going to get out of your chapter?
Yes, I really loved what you said. And for me personally, it was a process of learning that intuition is not necessarily the results, but sometimes it's a process of living. Because as a society, we might assumes that being intuitive means that your life will become very easy all of the sudden, that you will receive a sign or a spark inside and you will act on it and you will receive validation. But sometimes it takes time from the moment you receive the intuitive guidance, and you need to take actions and you need to follow this voice, sometimes despite other people telling you it's impossible, or people doubting your intuition or making fun of it. And it takes time again to receive this final validation, or really know that this voice inside was telling you what's right for you. And it might be a different truth for all of us, but it's very important to start being in tune with your heart, to start allowing ourselves to be aware of Creator's voice inside us, and to continue moving forward with grace.
I love that. So Valeria's chapter is Across the Other Side of Intuition. And what I'm hearing there from what you just said, Valeria, which I also have experienced and want to encourage our listeners to hear this as well, is sometimes we get a hit, we follow our intuition, we do the action taking, and it's maybe we're thinking we're following the intuition to go in a certain direction, but we end up finding out that there's like a curve and we discover something that wasn't even on our radar screen that would not have come into our lives if we hadn't trusted the intuition and taken the action on it. And therefore our own world is transformed because something unexpected and mysterious has suddenly arisen as a result. And I love your encouragement to appreciate the time delay. I do have a curiosity though. What does it mean across the other side of intuition? What does that mean, Valeria?
Yeah, to me, again, it's that, first of all, intuition can help us to reach our goals, but also in my chapter, I describe the other side of intuition, meaning that sometimes being intuitive could mean some difficulties that you might face with a world, with people, with authorities. And you really have to learn how to be strong, how to be brave, and how to act no matter what others are saying. Because again, sometimes we assume that our intuition will make our life easier and more guided. And it's an internal process, not an external process.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's not always sunshines, rainbows, and heart-shaped unicorns, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So, let me make sure that our listeners also hear that there's no guarantee when you're trusting your intuition that it's going to be sunshine and rainbows all the time. Sometimes it requires you to, what it does is it strengthens you. Sometimes taking these actions strengthen you by bringing you to and through challenges. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to ask you ladies, our book title is Wickedly Smart Women, Trusting Intuition, Taking Action, and Transforming Worlds. We've talked a lot about trusting intuition. We've talked a lot about taking action. What worlds do you know that you and your chapter and your business and your gifting is here to transform? Kathy, we'll start with you. What worlds are you here to transform?
Individual worlds. With the work that I do, it's about people discovering, hidden beliefs that they didn't even know they had. And so it needs to be the individual transforming themselves, and then it just has concentric circles from there. So perhaps then it helps to transform the world of their family, because all of a sudden they just look at things differently. They look differently at how they think, how they believe, how they talk, the words that come out of their mouths. And they are a force of nature at work. And then, over time, it just starts to spread. So as I said before, it's really, for me and in my work, I think it's at that individual level primarily, because that's really where the change has to occur. Is within each of us, and then we start to see it in the macrocosm.
Beautiful. Debra? What worlds are you and your wonderful chapter here to transform?
Well, it's sort of the same thing in that we work with individuals and couples at Sedona Soul Adventures, working with individuals to discover what the blocks are that are holding them back from living their best life, removing them, and then bringing them into connection. And then the same thing with couples. But my experience is that is transforming the world. Mm-hmm. And what our motto is transforming lives one soul at a time, because what we see is people go home and their friends, their colleagues, their families say, "Oh my gosh, what have you done? And I want me some of that." And so truly, my underlying goal and my underlying mission is really to bring the entire world into a consciousness that needs to happen, I believe. And that is happening, one person at a time, one couple at a time. But the impact on that is so huge. As Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And when we have individuals doing that, the impact is just absolutely extraordinary.
Beautiful. All right, Valeria, how about you? Which worlds are you transforming with your work and your chapter?
Yes, I also work with individuals, and I help people to open their hearts to allow for the love of Creator to come inside, because this is the beginning of transformation and healing. I believe in the power of unconditional love. I believe that when we are open to the source, when we live through this energy, everything becomes possible, and there is no more limitations that can stop us. Of course, it requires hard work from us, but it's an enjoyable process. And I also highlight that those difficulties, traumas, challenges, we learn how to be grateful through them, because of course we cannot be grateful for the experience itself, especially if it was very difficult and hard. But we can look back and learn how to be grateful through it. So this energy of gratitude and acknowledgement can help us to collect all the lessons, all the wisdom, and all the virtues that we are here to learn to transform our souls, and as a result of it, to transform the life of others and make this world just a little better place for everyone.
Beautiful. Well, ladies, it has been a huge pleasure having you today. One of my favorite sayings is gratitude is the currency of the universe, and currency is gratitude in action. So I would like to have you take your currency and put it into action by buying this amazing book, Wickedly Smart Women, Trusting Intuition, Taking Action and Transforming Worlds. We'd love to hear from our listeners and our readers what you got out of the book and what you're celebrating and what you're working on individually so that the larger world can raise in consciousness. Thank you, Debra. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Valeria. It has been my pleasure having you here on the show today. Listeners, we do love feedback. Please let us know what you thought of today's show by calling into our listener line. We'll have that for you in the show notes. Or you can send in questions or guest suggestions to listeners at wickedlysmartwomen.com. We will definitely have the book link in the show notes as well. We are launching on January 11th, 2023. So if you're hearing this before that, get your credit card ready to buy the book. And if you're hearing this after that, get your credit card ready to go buy the book anyway, because the proceeds all go to our nonprofit, our chosen nonprofit, the Life is Good Playmakers. Thank you for tuning in. Keep your ears open and remember that you and you and you and you are wonderful women.
Thanks for tuning in, downloading, and listening. Be sure to rate and review Wickedly Smart Women on Apple Podcasts and share with other women who can benefit from today's episode. Wickedly Smart Women is the premier podcast series for informing, activating, and inspiring the leader who carries profound wisdom and knows that now is the time to welcome wealth. We welcome your feedback and guest suggestions and invite you to subscribe to our mailing list to be notified of each new episode at wickedlysmartwomen.com.